So I wanted to make another video, talk about more about my mother, and I no longer have a job right now. I walked off the job, got in an argument with one of the managers. I don't think he was a manager, he was just another employee. And he kept on picking at me. Like I said, you know, I have to get up and fucking leave, then I get up and fucking leave. I'm intact. You know, maybe things I shouldn't have said, but it is driving me very angry. But I feel things are pretty much under control. They're shooting electronic devices. There's all kind of speculations I have. Maybe this guy's a cartel leader and he's involved in, you know, several molestations or killings, or the guy that was snitching out everything to the cartel, and they're shooting electronic devices at me and just sort of test things up. And it's ways to collide one individual with another individual and see how they behave. So spill more beans, you only get some more information from them. You shoot these electronic devices, yada yada yada. Anyway, I just don't really feel like being taunted over my dead sister, and the fact that the president is showing up, it's like there's a huge dollar for my head. Okay, there's a lot of money on my head, and I really don't think about it, but it pisses me off because I don't have an outlet. You know, I have to have like an outlet, like building projects. I need my fucking money, and you know, there's so much question to really what these people are trying to fucking do with the electronic devices. And this has been going on for too long that it's milking down the time for my inequality of fucking life. Didn't seem like there's any justice. I just don't think I think some people should be expelled from, you know, trying to pursue a career in entertainment on television or music. That's my opinion, but that doesn't really matter. Obviously, this seems to be in a whole investigation everywhere. Everyone's keeping eyes open, and you got a lot of shit. There's just a lot of shit everywhere. It's just shit everywhere. And everyone wants to survive, and they'll start killing, poisoning, fucking with somebody over, poisoning the next target, and it goes on. But anyway, I'm trying to look for another job. I'm hoping I got 30 days to try to look for another job, make some income. So I'm already applied to a couple jobs. I'm going to hopefully apply another 25 different jobs before the end of the week. I had my rent to pay today, and what I'm going to do is talk more about my mother as well. And it's fucking, you know, it's a double-edged sword, because there's so little equity of what I'm doing around my mother, and who, you know, Kenneth sabotaging the situation and burning it to the fucking ground. The people at my job site, because he knows his people will cheer him on, and then he's blasting this shit over the radio. Oh, it's our gay community member going against the Michael Jackson movement. Oh, we gotta kill Hector, we gotta poison him. That's why I got raped. I think it'd be very interesting, and also probably, you know, very traumatic to find out who was actually connected to Patricia Gadina, and it'd be to find out who was connected to that, who trained this person, told them, and manipulated that person. And it had to be the gay community. It had to be some real fucking dark, real bad shit. But I wanted to say something about this. Whenever I was with my mother all the time, and I talk about looking out the window, and then I would always check on my mother. Like if my mother spent more time than I thought was necessary, or it was a long conversation my mother had with the neighbor, I would go outside, look to see she was talking, and I'd make direct eye contact. Like, I always acknowledged myself as like a person that was confronting to the situation and was keeping an eye on my mother. I'd go into the house. If it was a long talk they had, I'd go back outside, check. Okay, they're still talking. When I look out the window, I would analyze. And you gotta understand, I didn't really have much of a reason to hate this woman. It was just that she seemed crazy. Like, and her behavior and her facial expressions from the minute that I knew this person was always really oddball. And when she was having conversations with my mother, like many conversations I heard between my mother and employees or situations, because my mother didn't want to speak English, is she would always give these signs that says like, and then she would go like, and so my mother she's completely blind to what's going on. She's like, oh, I want a life, just saving life, and like, we're just neighbors, and we eat and we live, we live. And so that's how my mother's sort of motto was. She just runs with that. But when I'm looking out that window, I'm always looking to see like, why is she doing this? And then she gauges at my mother, and then she, I watch my mother. It's like, and if it was a conversation that was going on for long, I'm gonna look out the window again, maybe 10 minutes later, because I was always acknowledging that I'm watching her. It was constantly like that, and this is one of the reasons it pisses me off, but it's the higher ups. Whoever fucking decided this shit, the psychologists were the wrong people. Whoever spent the money, yeah, we're just, you're doing it for something else. The purpose of that was for something else. The movement was for something else. My mother didn't want Lupe in charge. The closest reasonable person that probably had some sense, in my opinion, would be Joni. Joni had some sense because she was straight. And I remember her, we went to this $1 million mansion, I talked about that. She goes, yeah, Julian's a twin, he lives, yeah, he's over there. Like, she was so passive, the way the conversation, it's not direct, it's not like, hey, your kid's over there. No, it's not like that. It's just like, oh yeah, and she, come on, let's go, like. And so, in my opinion, and I think it's because she's straight, she's a woman, she's an authentic female, and I know they went after her without a doubt. And I knew that she worked at one of the company where my mom supposedly got ran over by a forklift. But I knew Chico, and I knew the guy Martin, and the guy ended up going on the run because supposedly, to my understanding, Martin ended up on the run because he raped an aunt of mine. But anyway, my mother doesn't want any of these people, and it's easy for me to say, and you're probably not, and yeah, you're not going to listen to me. What the fuck do I have? I'm 41 years old. You could have asked me these questions, but you didn't want to believe me. You just started allowing these people going, free willing to go into my mother's house that you built for her, and these relatives are the ones that burned the shit to the fucking ground. Lupe knew about that guy raping Frankie, and my dad did not like Lupe. My father kicked her ass out, and Ceci, and didn't want Juanita there, my grandma. The only one he found acceptable was Chito or Beto, and that was it. But anyone else that came was just in and out, and he didn't like that. He didn't get along with Lupe. So when she's showing up and, oh, I'm taking care of your mother, So, but it doesn't matter. It is too late. Can't even. It's fucking way too. They burnt it to the fucking ground. They're very tactical about what they're doing. But every time I'm looking at my mother, and I'm like, okay, I got to check on her, and then I got to see, and then, why is this guy chasing my mother, trying to rape her? I don't know what he's trying to rape, and I see, like, my mother's expression of fear isn't the same fear you see in other people fear. It's just like, no, I don't want that. But it's not like a fear, like shaking, or like when that guy chased her, or I saw Ivan's mother kind of take a step like this, and my mother goes like this and go, no, we don't do that. No, like she's always trying to fix you or trying to help you. And this is why it's so retaliating against me, because the people that did this for their very purpose. Once they have their gooses laying eggs, they can do whatever they want. And then they go after me, and then they go after the gays, because they know it's gay union. Oh, and then it's likely always, no matter what gets fixed, goes into the pattern what I may think it's going to go into, it's always going to gravitate to their portion. That belongs, none of that belongs to you. But when I have to do all this, and I have to translate for my mother, and I'm getting into arguments with Lupe, like nasty arguments, like get the fuck away from my dad, she's trying to group up with my mother. When all this stuff is happening, and I finally find out what's happening, that just put me to labor for free. That's all that fucking did. And not only that, but it's my mother and my time. My mother dies, I cry harder than Lupe. I will be in more pain than Lupe. And for Frankie, same thing. I sacrificing myself to help mother. I'm looking after, and Frankie entirely didn't trust Lupe very well. He didn't. You understand how he's being pinned. So they have to go after Julian. If you make Julian and train him to be greedy, selfish, and self-absorbed, to think he know him, what happens is you go against me, plays off for the other opposite side. So what I wanted to say is that it's very difficult when you do that amount of efforts and things, and it's all robbed. All of it is, and it was done on purpose. The people that were shooting electronic devices, and the people that wanted to get away with what they want for Michael Jackson. That's why it was, and for the president. That's all it fucking was. It was all for Michael Jackson. They don't give a goddamn fuck. It does not matter. That is a fucking an atomic bomb. Michael Jackson, it's like an atomic bomb. You're not going to get any bigger than that. And that's why it's so terrorizing that I even came in contact with this motherfucker. And what kind of luck that was is still boggling to me, to whatever situation that was. But I think it's important to talk about, because in my opinion, I don't think Marco was intelligent enough to really I mean, when I was 23, I understood 100, but it's a different personality. I think it's just he has a different personality. That's more to put it in a soft situation, that it's just a different personality, I guess. But when it comes to understanding of the political and all this, doesn't understand the threat that's actually happening, because he's been groomed too long with the comfort and all this money, and he's a homosexual. So when you're putting in this situation, it's always likely to fire at me. Always. It's never we're on a team together. No, it's always likely to fire at me. And people are able to take advantage of him because he's also young. So then it shoots at my mother, and they always have my mother as a trash can for themselves. But I think it's important for me to talk about, it's probably one of the reasons why I stay, bitter or angry. It's just there because people think that I'm just running around fucking. You don't understand how active I was. They have no fucking idea. No fucking idea. I'm so observative of so much of the things that are going, well, how do you even remember Frankie didn't get raped? I'm not only doing this to my mother, to my father, to Frankie. What the fuck? I don't know what the fuck to do, because I didn't see anybody stopping it. And I'm also being groomed because I'm a fucking kid when I go to school. But had not Michael Jackson showed up, what would life would have been? I don't think Julian would have reunited. My mother would have just done sort of the Mexican culture you get with some cowboy Mexican rancher, and you live in a very submissive world, in chicken hand. That's the existence that I think my mother would have, because they've already taken everything. You've taken the money, or you've abused her. You used her pussy as a baking oven to get some kids. You've already gotten rid of the child. My sister would have never shown up, but I think my mother would have been in so much submission that nobody else would have showed up, because there's just so much attention because of Michael Jackson that's why. So who's going to get the credit? Michael Jackson, because he did all that right over there. So, I mean, there's for me, there's no excuse. You just don't have enough. There's no straight women and enough straight men that give a fuck. And the ones that do, there's not enough of them. They get manipulated, pushed out of the circle. You're going against 4 straight men for every 60, 70 fucking faggots. Gay men running around with 100, thousands of transgenders. And they're more ruthless. The existence of how they live life is very different from become a straight person. They don't make babies. And 99.8%, they don't make babies. You don't fuck them, you can't breed them, you don't have the equipment to it. You don't have the ovaries, none of that. Yeah, you can think your fantasy world, and that's fine. You deserve life, you're a human being, but no. So the thinking patterns run elsewhere, and likely to be more psychosis and crazy. So I know my mother's personality. I know how she was and what she'd be saying today. I know the things that she remembers so clearly, and they erase all that. But I don't know what to say other than there ain't nothing I can do. There ain't nothing I can do. You know, they burnt this to the ground, and there's no justice. There's absolutely no justice. This is their world, and they executed on it. The president is involved, and he allowed it and triggered it. So I don't have anything else to say. You know, like, there's people giving free money. My mother was being horse raped in every manageable way you can imagine. Like, people think that they just came and took the baby. Oh, she just Mexican immigrant woman, no education, work, living in a house, cooking, and a little bit of abuse. Bullshit. Every single motherfucker, because of Michael Jackson, was coming at my mother to scare her, put her brain in a training. I need to train your brain like this. I need to train your brain like this. Oh, she's likely to go against Hector. Look, Hector's opening his mouth. Okay, go against Hector. You see, we found the enemy. And it doesn't change anything, because the psychologists and wherever, they know better. And not only do they know better, nobody came and asked me questions. Nothing. So I couldn't go enough into the story. There's so many fucking, it was just constant. Somebody picks up the phone, who's my mother talking to? Like, it's very different, because I understood the dynamics of what an education person or different mothers were like, or parents. Because when I went to Robert Zarati's house, or I went to Barry Pan's house, or when I went to Daniel Box's house, or when I went to Richard's house, or they're educated. Whether they were fucking lazy or not, stealing money, but they're educated. And they're not vulnerable. My mother's always vulnerable. And I let her be herself, but I understand that I'm 13 years old. I watched my mother picking up the phone. Hey, ¿quién era? ¿Quién estaba hablando? You know, like, and it's not that I'm being nosy. I'm so naturally gravitated to, like, who may want to target. So I knew that my mother didn't want to have any more kids, and how she expressed. So I was always nervous, thinking, you know, somebody could rape her, or, you know, because then it's, let's take the house. But it fucking sucks. There's nothing that I can do about that. I mean, I can't. They fucking did it on purpose. There's no punishment rule for this either. There's no judge for this. They just take what they want, steal, do the damage, the harm, with intentional. I'm gonna harm you, hurt you, take whatever I want. No one's gonna stop me. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha, smarter than you. Ha ha ha. We come together. Oh, Jesus Christ, love. That's what it's all about. How stupid are you? And how much more stupid is my mother? Oh, but forgiveness time on both ends. And everything I'd ever credit, trash. All of it. Fucking, you can't, you know, it's difficult, because the dynamics of my mother and my father together in a relationship in our home was very, very different. My mother does not want to be fucking an old man like that. But she then gets trained to, because she's being abused over here and abused over here. Because remember who has the kid right over there. Remember, retard sisters over. Oh, but she's not always just, you know, who has a good heart. So there's no. This doesn't make any sense. Why would you put a girl that's disabled, my sister, to live next door? And it had to have been some sort of professional group. Somebody did something. Somebody very deeply got involved to make that happen. What happens? What happens with that? Is that Michael Jackson's princess? Because that's what it seems like. I was about 8 years old. I was 7 to 8 years old when Ivan moved into that house. I was 7 or 8 years old. That means my sister lives there. You're doing this for Michael Jackson. How this is a people with a lot of money. This is thinking that this is we're here to help. Whatever it was, a church, Michael Jordan, Donald Trump. I don't fucking know who it was. I'm totally blind to who this got involved. Oh, we're gonna put families together, which is nice. That's the purpose of it, right? Unity with your family, and it be loving and have formal and have some order, safety. You show compassion to those that are disabled and don't know any better. You put that little girl there, that's not what you did. You put a transgender there, oh, let's fix it there then too. Because the problems keep rolling and the problems never stop. When you put that little girl there, what that was, since my mother's not hugging and touching the child, she's being whipped the fuck out of and hit with that transgender lady. Then when that happens, my mother gets raped by what I think is Ivan's dad. And now when that doesn't happen, this guy over here is bringing a lot of girls coming over. And I don't know if they were trafficking cocaine. I believe that there's a possibility that they're trafficking cocaine because I used to see them carry very large bags. And I said this several times. I caught this like 3 or 4 different times. I'd walk at the side of the house and the most powerful smell of gasoline, the aroma of and there was nothing around. There was nothing around, and it was like, it was like somebody spilled fucking gasoline all over the fucking floor, and there's only grass, and I was like, yeah, what the fuck is this smell? Because I mowed the grass, I know when somebody spilled the grass, and I knew Ivan's routine very well. I knew when that lady walked on the side of the house. I clocked them. I knew the routine. I knew Ivan's. I knew the neighbor's routine. I was so active. I know I could clock them. Oh, usually sometimes goes by the ice cream, a big bucket of ice cream, and just sits there and watches in the living room. 5 o'clock, walks a little girl back and forth. That's Ivan. She does it every once in a while. They walk on the side of the house. She occasionally talks to my mother when she gets a chance. My mother talks to this lady on the side of the fence. My mother didn't want that guy, and he was living there for 4 months. So when you brought that girl, you didn't bring anything to my mother. You brought pain and suffering and a liability. You brought, I think that's a correct word, liability. That is something that you did. That's a trash can. That's what you fucking did. You didn't fucking say love. You didn't say we're here to really fix, we understand troubles. That, my mother's not touching. So when that girl's dead, what you then do, Ken Cooper in the police department, who's going to stop that shit? Oh, remember the community? So it's very frustrating because I'm risking my fucking life and so much. Do you have any idea how many circumstances these guys could have grabbed me and thrown me in the bathroom and fucked me in my ass, fucking just like they did Frankie? Give me fucking time. You have time, fucking Bill. When I went to Tia Licha's house and this fucking like Native American Indian looking guy threw Frankie in the bathroom and was running all over the fucking house. I mean, we couldn't have done anything. They could have killed us. The guy that my mother saved me from, that looks like Jesus, that he fucking the hell out of my brother in this fucking room, holding my mother with a hostage with a fucking knife, and I'm fucking 6 years old. I'm not older than 6 years old. This is like a year or less after me and Michael Jackson. Like, the horrificness of this and how I'm risking my own life. No, it's Keynote 97 on the beat. I just milk it, I feel sorry, manipulate. It makes me a man when I deal with more death. There's no judgment, there's no ruling, they knew how to stop it from the very beginning. They knew how to ask questions, so there's nothing that I can do. I can't. It's so fucking heartbreaking because you don't understand the terminology of a Mexican woman and female like that. You don't understand that sort of tokens that you want to give and these sort of sayings because this is all she has. Like my mother would say, we would go to McDonald's and she would say, a mí me gusta McDonald's, los bolillos es puro McDonald's, es puro fast food los bolillos. And she said, why? And the translation is English. White people, they just go out to eat all the time. They never cook. They always puro fast eat, mas tiran la empana y es puro fast. It's okay every once in a while, Mama's at McDonald's. Every once in a while, it's okay. No, puro McDonald's es bolillos. She would always say that. She would always say, you know, like, you know, and she would nod her head. You know, she would be sitting on the couch. She goes, yeah. He goes. You remember me, Hector? You remember me? And she's sort of dispersing. She's dispersing a expression because I have no money, no education, raped, jumping over Mexico, selling kids. I'm fighting the best fight that I can give, but I have nothing to live because I think I have something to say that you're going to keep, Hector. So you remember me, Hector. You remember me. Yeah. Thinking that, oh, God exists. Like God is going to stop the shit. Did you get a Sarah Cooper story? Or Madison story? Or a Keynote story? Keynote. Michael Jackson. He always does it again. Now blend that energy and thought and fusion. What do you think's going to stop that shit? Exactly. So, there's just nothing that I can do. You know, as much as I want to retaliate and get pissed off because you're sending an infantry of army at me, already coming at me. And now they find more of an excuse. That is so deeply dark and intentional what Kenneth did. The words being exchanged, very analytical about what he was saying and doing. It's, to me, it's also because that individual has always understood free shit all the time. That's why. You know, for me, I grew up like exercising like crazy, thinking I was going to be a super athlete. You know, since I wasn't very big, it was cardio for me and sort of this ninja, great balances and techniques. And but I think it's important for me to talk about because it's so frustrating at times because it's hard to let go of something that they did on purpose, and they're using professional psychologists to hogwash down the shit. And you know, you don't get another mother again, and they get their Michael Jackson movement, and it did. You know, and it's just because I was there to see everything, and I was the one there fighting for it and thinking that, oh, no, he's the enemy. What I did for Frankie, what I did for, you know, it's time for Ken Cooper and Sarah Cooper, and that's what you did. No, that's what you fucking did. That is exactly what you fucking did. And somebody should have came and asked questions. Somebody, you know, the professionals, you know, like you fucking sit me down in a room and, you know, like an interrogation room and shit. Look, this is what we got going on. Your mother, this, you can't talk to her. Talk to the president when 9/11 happened. Oh, let me tell you how many times Frankie got it. Okay, let me tell you the stories. And so it's easy then to target my mother. Well, Mom, how come you didn't do anything? Exactly. Because there's 15 of them. Oh, it's because you don't understand the tactical. When somebody in groups of dozens of people are coming at you at one time, you're just, oh, okay, no, it just made a mistake. Oh, just keep going. And it's just, oh, it's, you know, it's not white. It's just, you know, it's Mexican. Oh, no, it's Mexican over there. Hispanic for another planet from 97 on the beat. Oh, it's for the black niggas. And the things you don't even understand. My mother never wanted me to get with the black girl. That's for sure. I was like a violation at the top of the ropes for my mother. My mother didn't even want me to get dark complected like Mexican girls. And, you know, my mother used to, like Richard Murphy. Richard Murphy would tell you this. Here's more evidence, just storytelling. You can go to Richard Murphy, and every time Richard Murphy would come over, my mother, I'd bring Richard in the house, and my mother would always be amazed by him and would say, Richard, you're so handsome, man. The first time Richard ever came to my house, he goes, oh, wow, ¿quién es este? Oh, wow, you're so handsome, Richard. My mother was like, it wasn't sexual. She knew he was a kid. And she said, oh, Richard, you're so handsome. And she'd be cooking. I was like, oh, wow, Richard, you're very handsome, Richard. She'd always say that. You can ask Jeremy Keene that as well. And she used to kind of giggle and laugh about Jeremy. Not in a funny way, not in a humiliating way, but just kind of funny and laughing away, and she would call him El Erjón. And he said, hey, en este El Erjón. She way, and she's not way, but she didn't say ese way, el erjón, ¿dónde está él? And because he looked real gumpy and, nerdy, but these are particular things that I think that are necessary. That if you spend in whatever $100,000 or whatever, $500,000 to buy a house and a secure future, you bought yourself something. Is what you did. You didn't buy my mother anything because you can exchange it with the twins, and they did it on purpose. There's nothing I can do. I mean, they did it on purpose. I don't know how any other way to fucking say it. It was they did it on purpose. And when you put that much effort and nobody gives a shit and thinks that I was just, they knew, because if there's no one there to tell you the story and go into details, then what happened? Only because of what you saw. Because then you get him over there, and his gaze over there, huh?